Many have said that Nigerians are the most widely traveled individuals on earth. In fact, according to the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, as at 2017, there were 15 million Nigerians spread all over the world. In recent times, however, some of these individuals have been facing hostility, especially in countries like South Africa, Ghana, and now the U.S. visa restriction from the government of the United States of America. So one would ask, what's really going on? How can this trend be stopped? Well, that's what we'll talk about on this episode of Big Story. You're welcome. I'm Imi John Mekwa. A representation of Nigerian lawyers resident in South Africa expressing their disapproval of the untimely loss of life of some Nigerians in South Africa. One of the prominent cases being that of the Deputy Director General of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, Mrs. Elizabeth Ndubusichukwu, who was found dead in her hotel room in Johannesburg while attending a conference of the institute. At first, her death was thought to be due to natural causes, but eventually it was found to be otherwise.
We were told that when they forced her door open, or when the hotel people came to open her door, that you could see signs of struggle in the room. So we assumed that maybe she was in the throes of death and was trying to. Now it was when we were told that she died of strangulation, that was when that struggle in the room started making sense. So I called the Consul General immediately and told him, yes, that we have finished most of the things we came to do here. We have gotten an undertaker. But that there is a problem, that she died on natural causes and she was actually strangled. I heard that they secured the CCTV footage of the hotel, and that the police have gone to the hotel to go and examine the CCTV footage. Later, I was told that they had watched the footage, that there was nobody went to the room after she went to the room, and nobody came out. I said, well, this viewing of the footage happened about 13 days after. So what it means is that the hotel had custody of the tapes all this while. One would have thought that the moment somebody dies suddenly and there is a possibility of a foul play, that the police should have taken custody of the footage right there and then. They didn't.
While investigation into how she died was still on, the next day, June the 14th, 2019, Maxwell Ikechukwu Okoye was reportedly killed by South African police officers. July 20, 2019 had yet another of such stories, this time involving a 17-year-old Chinonso Obiaju in Johannesburg. On the 4th of August, the Nigerian Union in South Africa confirmed the killing of Benjamin Okoronkwo, a 43-year-old taxify driver.
Why are you hitting me? I cannot drop my phone. This is my own right. See the way they are treating me.
And another one being a Nigerian student, Tayo Faniro.
Why are you hitting me? I cannot drop my phone. This is my own right. See the way they are treating me. Can you see the way they are treating me?
Some scars here. Like I said, God blessed me with a good skin, so that's why maybe by now I should still be swollen. They beat me so much. It is too much that I cannot even begin to think about that because it will hold me down.
In all, the Senate says about 118 Nigerians have been killed between 2016 and 2018, 13 of them allegedly killed by the police.
Your Excellency, you recall that this country and his people provided every possible shelter for our ANC brothers. I think we have taken enough of it. We are not going to take this anymore. Any Nigerian killed must be accounted for. We are going to write the names of all Nigerians killed in South Africa, 118. And we are going to write to the Parliament of South Africa that this is not acceptable, they must investigate. And as country to country, as brothers, why should we kill ourselves? Why should Nigerians be killed? In fact, why should anybody be killed?
The Senate has also issued a travel alert to Nigerians planning to visit South Africa, while the chairman of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, Mrs. Abike Dabri-Erewa, says she's following up on the cases to ensure that justice is done.
What really should happen in South Africa is that the early warning signal that the two ministers of foreign affairs, Nigeria and South Africa, put in place needs to be strengthened, or just reworked totally. And I'm sure the minister will do that now, because it needs to be taken up at a much higher level. And I believe that the investigations going on will be concluded. We have to know who killed Elizabeth Ndubuse. Well, the teenager's case was a case of robbery. They wanted to rob him and then he ran. Don't forget that there's a high rate of crime in South Africa. So that wasn't xenophobia. It was a case of robbery. And they tried to escape and they shot him. The case of Tayo Faniro, again, the mission, got in touch with him. That case there's been a petition against the two police officers, and there's an agency that actually deals with cases involving police officers in South Africa that's looking at it. What we need to do as a country is ensure that we follow it through, and we will. We will. And we know that xenophobia, generally speaking, and I also say that, if it continues this way, the African Union has to intervene. Don't forget that this same South Africa, there are lots of Nigerian professionals that are working in South Africa, and they don't really have issues. So you have to look at it on several angles. So you can't just say stop going. And the idea of, go break their houses, go block their shops, I would not support that. I would not support that, because really it's more of what should be done. Really, there should be the political will on the part of South Africa to address these issues. Secondly, it's concrete awareness programs. Like we're talking of cultural exchange between both countries. Let's get to know one another better. You see, those guys doing those things have no idea of their history or where they're coming from. So there should be a concrete effort to have cultural exchange, more awareness, and then those who have committed these offenses must be prosecuted, especially those that involve government officials like the police. It's a different thing, on the level of I'm fighting you, you're fighting me. It may be more difficult, but on the level of your officer committed this crime, 8 police officers are currently on trial for allegedly maltreating Nigerians, but the case has not ended.
The South African government has not been silent on the matter. There's been various meetings to proffer a way out of this threat to the relationship between Nigeria and South Africa and even other countries affected.
The emphasis right now was on the criminality of these sporadic attacks and the extent of these sporadic attacks. And the source of these sporadic attacks and what it costs the taxpayer to deal with the problems that we're dealing with.
The matters here were generic, but there are matters that, through respect, it would be better if you speak in particular with the country to raise those matters. Somalia raised that issue, I think Nigeria raised this issue, and others. But others, as we speak now, there is a better communication. The debate of criminality stroke xenophobia will continue, because we're beginning to understand that usually these sporadic reaction of the communities, they usually react to some kind of activities on the ground. That was explained here. I'm not going to repeat that. But also it was raised that there are many peaceful communities where you will not determine that there are foreign nationals living in this peacefully so. Unfortunately, these things now and again are provoked and things happen and they respond as such, and we want to make sure that we work with our brothers from the continent, from SADC, to create a better way of living and a peaceful environment going beyond the South African borders.
The treatment of Nigerians seems to have extended to Ghana. Recently, there has been stories of the closure of 400 shops belonging to Nigerians. Even though this is said to have been resolved through the intervention of the Nigerian government, there's been allegations of Nigerians committing crimes in Ghana.
Some young Ghanaians took the laws in their own hands, went to close down the shops in Kumasi. Luckily, the shops were not vandalized, as I would put it. But the President of Ghana has directed the Inspector General of Police, the Minister for National Security, and all the security agencies to be on top of the issue. As we speak now, the shops have been reopened. The Nigerians who are operating their shops in Kumasi have been assured of their security. They have been asked to go back to do their duties without fear of being molested or harassed by any person in the region. As we speak, some Ghanaians who were involved in this act have been arrested and they will be placed before court because it is a matter which the President of Ghana will not allow to happen, to dampen the spirit of excellent relation that exists between Ghana and Nigeria.
Journalist and businessman Mr. Dele Momodu has operated in Ghana for over 20 years and has a first-hand experience of living and doing business in Ghana.
Also, there is always a mutual distrust between Ghanaians and Nigerians. It's been there forever. We're like husband and wife. We can't do without each other, but we fight and quarrel every day. So, but I have been lucky because I've mastered the art of relating to Ghanaians. They are afraid of Nigerians. They believe we're too aggressive. People see us like the Americans of Africa, everywhere we go, not just Ghana. So the first thing I've learned is when I'm dealing with a Ghanaian, so I have to calm down. They are much more relaxed. They are not aggressive like us. They don't like people shouting at them, even your staff, you know. So, and then try to respect the law of the land. It's very important anywhere you go. Once you respect the law of the land, even if people try to bully you, then you can be on top of it. I agree that yes, Nigerians do commit crime, but it's not peculiar to Nigerians. All over the world, there are criminals. But in a country of 200 million people, if you have just 1,000 hardened criminals, what do you expect? It will be felt everywhere. The tremor will be felt everywhere because of the population. If you have a smaller country where you have 2 or 3 people, nobody would see them as criminals. But in Nigeria, people have decided to straitjacket us into a nation of criminals, and that's not true. Of course, recently in Ghana, we heard of Nigerians kidnapping, but they always have local partners. But nobody mentions the local partners. They mention anything, oh, these Nigerians have come. But I always come out to defend our people that no, we're not all criminals. If you catch any Nigerian criminal, please let him face the music. But don't now say because you caught one kidnapper yesterday, then every Nigerian is a criminal. It's not true. Because somebody carried drug, then everybody is a drug carrier. No, it's not like that. So it's our job to make sure that we also have our roving ambassadors, unofficial ambassadors, who can defend the interests of Nigeria everywhere we go. Africa, I think we just hate ourselves. A lot of these countries outside West Africa. The white man will come with his passport. He doesn't need a visa. But an African man will need a visa.
There's also the issue involving a professor of English language, Augustine Uzoma Nwagbara, who was accused of inciting Nigerians after a video of his meeting with some Nigerians leaked.
In the case of Prof, somebody released that tape at a period of tension between Nigeria and Ghana. And that generated more tension. And Prof was accused of treason, actually. But when he even showed all the things, that tape was even doctored. It was actually doctored. But the good thing is Prof is back in Nigeria. He was dismissed without even telling him, without communicating with him. And all he's asking for is for his entitlements to be paid. He's back with a lot of offers to complete his sabbatical. And at the end of the sabbatical, he'll be back at the University of Lagos. There's been an underlying tension between Nigerian traders in Ghana, and it's still there. Because they are saying there's the law, some are saying no. So it's still there, but again, our embassy in Ghana is handling it very, very well, and I believe, again, we need to get it. I think it's a shame that at this point in time in our history in Africa, this is what we're talking about. You close my shop. It's a shame. When the whole world is talking about going to the moon, the world is talking about, serious advanced technology. The world is leaving us behind. And we are sitting down and saying, you're closing my shop. We should be ashamed as Africans that that's where we are today. And I believe that all of us as Africans need to do something about it. Now we're talking about an Africa Free Trade Agreement. Is that how we want to carry it on? So really, it's not something that it should excite us, whether I'm a Nigerian or a Ghanaian or South African. We should go beyond all that. If we don't work together, how do we want to develop the continent? So for me, I think it's a thing of shame that that is where we are. And African leaders must take it seriously.
Although relations seem tense, there are some Ghanaians who are calling for peace and cordial interaction.
Experts from the two immigrations of Ghana and Nigeria will be meeting pretty soon, and they will come out with a roadmap in dealing with some of these issues that are currently taking place in Ghana.
Yet another appeal came in May 2019 when the United States of America announced an indefinite suspension of interview waivers for visa renewals for applicants, known as Dropbox. And then about 2 months later, the U.S. announced visa restriction on Nigerians.
The visa restriction has caused a lot of misunderstandings among Nigerians. There is a feeling that all Nigerians are restricted from coming into the U.S., but that's not what the visa restriction is about. The visa is targeting people who, according to the restrictions, who undermined the presidential elections. So it's targeted restriction. It's not about all Nigerians. First of all, we know as recently as 2 weeks ago, or even last week, some Nigerians who got green card to come into the United States. So this restriction goes to target people who undermine democratic process. And we are okay with that in the sense that it is good to target people who cause problem rather than impose sanction on the whole country. And that will impact people who didn't even play a part in it. So I would say to Nigerians, please try to understand what this is about. It is not targeting the ordinary Nigerians. It's specifically looking at who contributed to undermining the electoral process that happened a few months ago. These targeted restrictions, actually we at the Africa Faith and Justice Network for a number of years have been advocating at the U.S. Congress not to impose blanket restrictions or sanctions on the entire country. In fact, as recently as last September, we were at the U.S. Senate advocating for this particular process, not to impose sanctions on the entire country. Look at what is happening to Zimbabwe. Imposing a sanction on the entire country, the economy has collapsed, ordinary people have suffered, and people who were already suffering because of what happened are suffering even more. So we had asked the government here, if you want to impose sanctions, target the individuals who are the perpetrators, not the country.
It's not totally bad news from Nigerians in the diaspora. In the Republic of Benin in West Africa, About 3 million Nigerians have taken up residence here. One of them is Mrs. Obiageli Onichuku, a food vendor in Port Novo area of Cotonou. She's been living here with her daughter and son-in-law for 10 years, and she has many benefits to show for it.
Our place in Nigeria is so crowded, but here is a cool place where you can hide yourself and do business. Here it's not it's not crowded, and it's very cool for somebody to live at. Anyway, after coming to the Omuvo here, one of my sisters was living here. She decided to sell her shop, but not here. She's like this now. She has a restaurant, my sister. So I saw how people came to the restaurant, but she wanted to travel to China. So I decided to buy the restaurant from her. My mind told me that if I buy the restaurant from her, that I will make more, I will gain it. So that's how I decided to stay here. I bought this restaurant from her. I stayed here like 2 months or a month, and I covered all the money I paid for that her shop, for her restaurant. Because that time I bought the restaurant at 800,000 naira, not safer. Like a month, I covered all the money I used in buying the shop. I started getting my own. So here is on rent. I do invest on my place. If I travel to Nigeria, like I've got my own house upstairs at my place. I've bought another land, which I will start by next year to establish. So if I get the money, I take it back to my place to establish them so that I can see what they wrote, I can read, I can write. Like outside Nigeria, we do welcome strangers more than here. Here doesn't like strangers like our place, Nigeria. But we like cooperating with them. They don't normally go out as our people, Nigerians. That's why they do the behavior of that. They don't like strangers like our place. But we do cooperate and stay like that with them. Because the little ones we have, if we take it back home, it will make us much money, more than staying at our place.
Nigeria's ambassador in Benin Republic, Kayode Oguntuashe, confirms that a lot of Nigerians are excelling in spite of language differences.
We have cultural, socio-economic cultural affinities. We are more or less like the same people, and I think there is a better understanding between the two people of Benin Republic and Nigeria, because we go even into history. Part of Benin Republic has been part of Nigeria before the colonial time. And so we have been used to each other in terms of commerce, in terms of social and cultural exchanges. So we don't have the case of Nigerian being ordered, like being hated or those kind of xenophobic things here. But the only thing that we see that in recent time, some aspect of the economic policy of government has not been too friendly to Nigerian businessmen.
The search for greener pastures, brain drain, or is it brain circulation? Well, how can Nigeria make all of this movement work for it, for the development of the country? Can the Nigerian government bring what Nigerians are searching for outside? Can they bring it back home? Well, let's get your thoughts from what you have seen on this episode of the program. We are always glad to hear from you. That's it for this episode of Big Story. I'm Ili John Mekwa.